Well, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the cabin. I'm going to walk down the driveway here because we had a really severe storm and it actually blew a tree down. I couldn't go anywhere yesterday because I had to cut it out of the way before I could actually leave. Then I'll take you on a little tour of the garden. It is doing extremely well. I'm just surprised that nothing fell on the garden or the outdoor kitchen or the chicken house or the pig pen or the cabin or the tractor or anything else. I'm just so thankful. But anyway, we're almost here, so I'll turn the camera around and let you see this tree. Okay, right here is the tree that actually, the wind was so ferocious that it actually broke it, bent it over far enough where it actually broke. And then you can see where I kind of cut it up right here, and I actually moved the log out of the way just so that I could get by it. I'll tell you what, that storm, I was actually pacing the floor because when I looked out and it was raining so hard it sounded like hail. I was pacing back and forth on all sides of the cabin watching the trees. Trees were probably laid over more than 45 degrees, and I was really concerned that, I wasn't too awfully concerned about the cabin because we had previously cut all the yellow pines down, but there's still some poplars back there and some cedar trees back up a little ways that weren't actually long enough to reach, but the poplar trees were, and I mean they were really bending, and I was just hoping that nothing would fall and destroy the tractor or any of the other buildings that I built. But we got tornado watch yesterday for 6 hours, and it wasn't long after that when it started raining. Then it progressively got worse and worse, and then the wind, I mean it was moving. It was so fast, and there was a lot of trees that were shedding debris. It was all over the cabin roof. It's all over in the woods, just small branches that had broken off. There's my plane on cue. But anyway, yeah, so I'm glad that we survived that with just very little damage, which is not too much damage right here because I can actually use that tree, but it was enough to keep me from leaving until I could actually get it out of the way. So it's a good thing I didn't have an emergency where I had to jump in the truck, because it took me about 15 minutes to get it cut and moved out of the way. It's time for another giveaway. What we have decided to do for the month of May, and I'm sorry that I didn't get this out last week, it just totally slipped my mind with all the stuff that we've got going on around here. And I even told my son, I said I screwed up because I didn't put the giveaway in last week's video. He says, "Dad, it's okay." I said, "No, it's not okay," because I have lived my life trying to be very responsible about the things that I do, and I felt bad because my responsibility, because this is the way that we started our channel, is to be on time every time, not only with the videos but with the giveaways and everything else that we do. So I do apologize for not getting those in last week. I just did not have time. But anyway, what we have decided to do for the month of May, because I've had so many comments about this, we're going to give away 2 of these. We're going to give away one for the Outpost channel and one for the review channel. 2 of these away for the month of May. They're really nice. They got a hole in them right there where you can put your finger in. If you didn't have other fingers, you could basically twirl it, but you would be afraid when it would come around, they would cut those other fingers off. Because honestly, folks, from the factory, this is pretty doggone sharp. It's got a nice feeling handle. It's very ergonomic. It's nice wood that they've got. It's got a little place back here. You could actually put a lanyard if you wanted to. And it's curved, so you can kind of use it like an ulu, which is one of those half moon circle knives that the Eskimos use. And it's really nice for chopping up the vegetables. It's wide, probably I'm thinking it's not quite a 1/4 inch, so maybe 3/16 wide, and then it tapers down to almost nothing right there. So it's built really nice. I don't think that it's going to break off too easy. So we're going to go ahead and give 2 of these away. So if you're grilling out in the backyard, or if you're out living like I am, or just plain working inside the kitchen on the inside of the house, be able to use one of these knives from Husk, which is a Japanese type company. Then you know you will have something that you can chop those veggies up with that really does work really well. I've even cut my meat with it too, and it does a really good job on that. So this is what we're going to give away for the month of May. So I'm going to move over to the computer right now. We'll find out who the winners were for the month of April. Okay guys, I have got the random picker pulled up here. This is the Outpost channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this link. We're going to go over to the random picker. We're going to insert that. We're going to get all the comments for that video. And then we're going to drop down here and start the raffle. So this is for the Outpost channel for the month of April. And it looks like Charles Vila, you are the winner for the Outpost channel. Then we will go up here to the review channel. We will copy this link. We'll go back to the random picker. We'll highlight this and delete it. We will paste in the new one, get all the comments, and we will go down and start the raffle. So it looks like Richard Knowles, you are the winner for the review channel. So Richard and Charles, congratulations to you two on winning up here at the Outpost giveaway. Be sure and send us some information through our Smoky Mountain Outpost at gmail.com on how we can get in touch with you and get these items ordered as quick as possible and get them shipped out to you. We hope that you get many years of good use out of them. So now let's get back to the video. We're up here feeding the hog, and you remember my son-in-law Stephen, who works for a food distribution company that distributes, if you're new to this channel, they distribute food and all types of meat products, you know, dry food products and things like that to restaurants and different businesses. Anyway, he was up here a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about the future prices of goods, you know, and services in the food industry. And so in the last 2 weeks, what has been the biggest change?
Freight is still the biggest impact on everything because these companies it's costing them more to ship out products. So freight is still the #1 driving cost of your food. Your chicken is still going up at an incredible pace. I mean, it's triple what it was in December now.
In December.
Yeah. So there's no end in sight. I mean, we don't see it stopping.
Do you think that chicken will be soon be higher than beef and pork?
Chicken is already higher than pork.
Higher than pork.
I don't see it being as high as beef, but it's going to be close. It only takes. So your chicken that you buy in a grocery store at a restaurant, you know, comes from a manufacturing plant. It takes 21 to 28 days from the time that chicken's born to the time it's on your plate, which is an incredible pace because you see your chickens. You know?
Right.
So
right.
it's just they can recover quicker than most animals, but still we're so far behind with all the avian flu and all that chickens are just their price just keeps doubling up. So.
Okay. Well, I had intended to go to the farmer's market. They have it every first Monday of the month, and I actually forgot that this past Monday was the first Monday in the month. So now I've got to wait. I was going to go get some more chickens, so now I've got to wait another month to be able to go to the farmer's market. So I'm hoping that there will be chickens left to be able to buy when I get over there. That's probably, you know, one thing. If you've got some acreage or something like that where you can keep some chickens, or even a chicken house in your backyard might be something you would want to invest in, because it's nice to have eggs and have chicken every once in a while, because you know, the price of everything is going up so much, just like fuel.
Yeah.
Fuel, you know, just went up again, and I wasn't even empty, and it cost me $75 to fill up my truck. So with the rising cost of everything, it would pay, you know, you may have to sacrifice in one area for another, but I think in the long-term scheme of things, even if you had to feed some chickens, you know, it would be beneficial. Of course, now chickens will eat a lot of different things. They will eat table scraps of different sorts. You know, if you got potato chips and bread and stuff like that goes bad, they will eat those. Besides, you know, corn and bread and everything else like that I feed them. Even weeds and stuff like that I may pull out of the garden, I'll bring them up here and give them to the chickens, and you know, they will eat on those as well. But I'm glad that we've got this hog because that's going to save us quite a bit of money over the winter from not having to buy you know, from the store, because the prices are going to be so high. It's a little bit of work to raise a hog, but I think that overall the benefit is going to be a whole lot better than you know, when I was a kid, we would kill 2 every year, and we would make it a family event where everybody would get together and we would process the hog, and we would have it done, you know, both of those done by the weekend. We made our own sausage and everything. So it is a little bit of work, but now we were talking about, just for those of you that may be new, bacon, has it went up in the last 2 weeks, or is it about the same?
Bacon's about the same.
Okay, you said about $5.65 a pound?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then pork loin was what, $1.50?
$1.70, something like that.
Okay, so if we just took an average and say pork, you know, from head to tail, regardless of what you're getting, let's say it's average of $2.50, because, you know, you buy bacon, you buy sausage, you buy ribs, you buy loin, you buy all these different things. If this pig dressed out to where it offered just 250 pounds of meat, okay, at $2.50 a pound, this hog is worth $1,000. Okay, now my sister and I and my son-in-law, my daughter, we're partners in on the pig, and we're trying to determine, you know, how much are we going to need. So next year we may have to have 2. We'll see how far this one goes through the winter, because we eat other things, you know, beef and chicken, things like that. Of course, we may not be eating too much chicken, right? Because of the price that it goes up. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Raising your own stuff because of the factors that have been affecting us all worldwide. So, well, let me ask you this. What about the warehouses that have been destroyed by fire or whatever? How is that going to play into food distribution and prices?
That's an every year issue. I mean, really, you know, I don't want to get too political, I guess, but so like our warehouse in the last 2 weeks, we've been running 6 to 8 hours behind because we've had so many mass quits. Warehouse employees just quit because they get tired of the overtime, the extra hours they're having to put in, the late nights. They just quit. So besides your freight, your labor issues are also your hardest to overcome. You're having to pay your employees $20 an hour when you're paying them $15, and they're still quitting. So warehouse issues have always been a problem, whether it's fires or labor or whatever. That's always been an issue. It's just worse now. You know?
Yeah. Well, I still think that it would pay, you know, to raise what you can to be able to save some money. That's what we're trying to do. We don't know our overall usage, what it's going to be yet, because we're just now putting this homestead together, but we will get it figured out and we will survive.
You don't want to You don't want to rely on other people for things you need. You want to be able to raise it yourself.
Right. So that's what we're doing here. And as the homestead grows and as the stock that we bring in, as it grows, we'll be able to determine what our needs are, and hopefully be able to get down there in the bottom, plant some corn, stuff like that, so that we don't have to spend as much money, you know. Now we do give the hog table scraps. We give it day-old bread, which you saw me mixing up. There's some sweet feed and corn in here. We get other different produce from other places, so I just didn't happen to have any today, so I had to use my bread and my grain or my feed here for him, or her actually. But anyway, my point being that, you know, we'll figure out how much we need in order to raise our livestock and try to raise as much as possible that we can, so that we don't have to dip into our savings and feed them that way. So I appreciate that information that you're giving us. But what is the average price of chicken right now?
So a 40-pound case costs about $145, where, like I said, in December it was like $56.
So it's triple.
It's triple, and it's going up again next week, about $5 more case. So I think that averages, I'd have to quick math, is probably $3.50 something a pound right now. Chickens, that's a high price for chicken.
Right.
That's a 40-pound case. When you go to the grocery store, you're only buying, what, a pound?
Right.
So just that price is probably double that.
Right. Well, I guess you can see how happy my lettuce is. It is really coming on. I'm really glad, because I like lettuce, especially this type. You know, chop up some onions, some tomatoes, some other vegetables, and have a nice salad. The beans are actually coming out, so let's go take a look at those. So my green beans are starting to make an appearance, which is really good. There's a couple of spots I'll probably have to go back and replant, because I had one spot in particular, 3 different days I came out and I had to cover up a hole that was dug. I don't know if it was a squirrel that was watching me plant beans and wanted the beans. I don't think anything else could have gotten in here, because I've got it pretty well secured, except a squirrel could come down the tree, or it could have been a bird. But anyway, the beans, like I said, they're coming up, they're making an appearance. I don't have any potatoes yet actually making an appearance, but I don't think it'll be long and they'll be coming through the ground, especially with this rain has soaked. I mean, it's probably rained 4 days this week, and it's rained enough to actually keep me from really doing anything. I happened to get out, you know, on the days that it was nice and I got a little something done, but it pretty much has prohibited me from coming out and doing things. Now, there was lots of other things that I was doing, paperwork and stuff like that, but yeah, I'll be happy when these actually make an appearance. That way I can find out, you know, how many of them actually have grown, and maybe I'll have to replace some. But anyway, it shouldn't be long, because the rain has really soaked this ground, so they should come on up. And then once they do and get up a little bit higher, then I will go ahead and cover them with some of that hay too, to hold moisture in here and help them grow. So now let's go up behind the cabin and take a look at those raised beds. There, I had stopped and picked up these pallets. You've probably seen that in Monday's video. If they were free and somebody was going to throw them away, would you drive 40 miles to pick those up? I just didn't see any reason why they should go to waste. Now, I've got another 24 of them up there that I had picked up the day before, and then I've got 62 right here. I've got a total of 92. No, I've got 68 on there. I've got a total of 92 pallets now, plastic pallets that are brand new, that I can use with whatever. So I've got to find a spot that I can unload those. It was raining when I got back with them, so I just basically parked the truck, and then when it slacked off raining, I hooked the tractor up real quick and brought the trailer down here, so I've got to find a place to put them, but I'll find some good use for them. I've got an idea on a greenhouse, using them on a greenhouse, so y'all be sure and stay tuned for that, because that ought to be interesting. The others I will use on the floor of the what is the sawmill now that I'm going to turn into the woodshed, but I'll use these to actually lay down on the ground, stack my wood on, that way they won't wick up any moisture out of the ground, so it should be able to keep them nice and dry. And with all the holes in them, it will be able to breathe really well, so the wood should dry out really nice. But yeah, leave me some comments and let me know how many of you would have went and got those if they were free and they were offered to you. Another thing too, I was talking with someone, and I noticed that sometimes I'll get comments that YouTube is not sending notifications, and also has taken or unsubscribed some people. So if you're watching this video on your phone or your computer or whatever, or television, look down there right up underneath the video, and if the word subscribe is in red, make sure and hit that and subscribe, so that you can get back in line for the videos, and hit the little bell notification so that it comes up. And be sure and let me know if you get unsubscribed or if you're not getting any notifications. I don't know what I can do about it, but I could certainly send them an email. But anyway, like I said, yeah, go ahead and subscribe if it's not, and then that way we'll know that if that's happening. But anyway, let's go ahead and get them back up there behind the cabin, take a look at those gardens up there. Well, I actually stopped at where I planted the strawberries because I wanted you to take a look at those. The strawberries have actually taken root, I believe. They're all standing up, they're doing well, and I actually have one that's half red over here. And I'm excited about all of these plants doing well and being able to have strawberries. I will go back and get more because he said I could have all that I wanted, but that day I thought that I would go ahead. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's actually 14 clusters that I planted. The 3 watermelons, they're still doing good that I planted up there. So I'm just basically kind of turning this into a little fruit section right here. So I'll be excited when they come out. Anyway, I'm going to open the gate here and we'll take a look at the garden on these raised beds. These cucumbers here have really surprised me. Take a look at this. Those cucumbers were smaller than any of the other plants, but they're outgrowing the other plants too. Now the cabbage is really coming on strong. You can see it right here as well. I had one broccoli that basically laid over during that storm, and I kind of propped it back up. I hope it's not broken, but like I said, that wind was so ferocious that I was scared that it was going to do a lot of damage, but thank goodness it didn't. But all my cabbage is doing well. The broccoli and the cauliflower are doing well also. You look over here. The tomatoes, they're doing great too. They're actually starting to grow now. So I think that the roots have stabilized and I can actually see some growth in them as far as height goes. They were bushing out a little bit, but now they've started growing tall. The onions are also doing great. I'll show you those. So it's really nice when you go to all the work to prepare and put your plants in the ground, and to see them take off like this, there's really a lot of satisfaction in it. Not only that, but they also taste good. So I'm excited about these onions. This will be the first time here that I've actually raised, you know, the big bulb onions, because a couple of years I had just the regular green onions, but I got the slips this year, and I'll be having the big onions. So yeah, everything seems to be doing well. The ramps, I think I still had a couple of leaves left on those down in the hollow, but they're actually receding because they primarily only come out in April. So hoping that next year they actually have spread a little bit, and I may go back and try to get some more of those and plant them, because as they grow I'll kind of cut into the cluster and I will begin transplanting those so that we'll have ramps up here, because they are very, very good. You know, like we had said in one of the recent videos, it's almost like garlic. It's kind of like a cross between a garlic and an onion, but they are really, really good. And I've got the whole field down there is full of wild onions, which they grow very thin, and some of them can get, you know, 10, 12 inches tall. But they taste, you know, just like a green onion because they're wild onions, right? But they don't get very big, but they're good for cooking. And you know, you can also chop those up kind of like the green onions and put those in your lettuce. They'd be a whole lot smaller, but still the same taste is there. So got a lot of wild onions too. I may do some foraging one day when I do a bushcraft video, and cook outside and do some camp and things like that. So I may go down there and, like I said, do a little foraging and use those to cook with, as well as some other things that I could find. You can see right here, it blew the plastic that I had covering up this wood. That was actually a box of maple that was given to me last year, and I brought it up here, I don't know, a couple weeks ago and set it down here because I was actually going to stack it up underneath the kitchen, and so many other things are going on I didn't get to it, and now it's all wet. I'd kept it dry for a long time, but you know, the sun will come out, the sun will dry it up again. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out some of these that are like this, because I might be able to do a little project with those and make something out of them. But the rest of it will get stacked up because it's all maple, and it's good for cooking. So yeah, I mean, there is so much. Let me just pan around here just a little bit and you can see some of the trash that's left from the storm. That was terrible, having to live through that, not knowing if there's going to be any more destruction than what there was. But anyway, I'll go down here and show you these poles that I've got ready to go for the tower whenever I get a chance to start putting that together. Alright, these are the 4 cedar poles that I cut in the video and finished off. They're actually 22 feet long. I've got the ends prepared so that I can set those in the ground. Now my idea is, because they're going to have to lean in just a little bit towards each other, because I don't want them going straight up. I want it kind of leaned in a little bit so that the top base is smaller than the bottom base. And I've decided to lean it in, I think I figured 1 3/4 per foot. So I've already got that figured out, so my horizontal braces, I'll know what to cut those at and the height that they go at, so that it'll be easier for me to put it together as I build it up. Once I get the bottom first braces on, which will be up about 5 feet high, that should kind of hold the poles until I can get up to the next section, which will be another 5 feet, because I'm going to have to actually stand on top of these as I go up, okay, because I don't have anything that I can stand on in order to build this thing up. And those that boom that I actually had rigged up for the tractor when we were setting the beams for the cabin, if you all remember that. If you haven't seen that, go back on our timber frame build in the playlist and check out some of the very first videos that we did, and you can see that boom that we made to go on the end of the bucket for the tractor to help aid us in getting those beams up there. So I may have time to go. I need to buy, because I cut them off after we got done with the cabin, because we had them welded on there. So I left some sticking out of the head, the quick connect head that goes on the tractor, so that I could reinsert those. But what I need is a larger piece that's probably 2 feet long that will slide over the ones that I cut. I'll have to drill a hole and put a pin in that. Then I'll be able to slide the end that I cut off down into that same channel and drill some holes in that, put a pin in, so that I can, connect them and disconnect them. So that will help out a whole lot, I believe, on setting these poles. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a hold of a couple of pieces of metal and get that rigged up, just to make it a whole lot safer to put these poles up. But I got the ends burned, like I said. I'm not going to fill the holes in until I get this thing all the way to the top. Now once I start leaning them in, it should provide enough security to where I can build this thing as I go up. And then maybe if I go ahead and get the second run of bracing on there, then I will come back, because that will be holding the poles at the angle that they need to be. Then I'll go ahead and pour concrete and put down in those holes, and then it will be set up. But yeah, those are going to be a little bit hard to manage. Even with 2 foot in the ground, you still got 20 feet sticking up in the air, and that's a lot higher than what my boom will actually reach. So the idea of getting that fixed back up where I can put that extension back on my boom is probably the best idea. Anyway, those poles are ready to go. As soon as I get my holes dug and the location for sure where I'm going to put my tower, then we will be on to building that. I had intended to be cutting material for the barn, but then when the satellite came in, they didn't really give us any warning, because we'd been signed up on that for quite some time. And then they said, okay, your satellite is in the mail. And so when that came in, then I'm left with trying to figure out where to put it. I'm going to have to cut some trees down, because I did hook it up temporarily, and I've seen which direction that it's mainly working in. So there's going to have to be a few trees cut, and one is that great big huge poplar right up there that's going to have to be cut. So that's another thing. I've got to get my 250-foot cable back from my neighbor so that I can actually cut that down. He said that he did have it to where I could come and roll it up, but that's just going to require some time for me to get up there, roll it back up on my wheel, and get it back over here. But anyway, I'm hoping that this weather breaks and we get some sunshine again, because it's been awful gloomy and awful rainy here recently. The other thing that I wanted to show you, look underneath the porch right over there. It actually sucked the plastic off that I had it held down with wood, but it was, like I said, it was so fierce that it actually pulled the plastic off, and the bottom four, I think, the bottom four bags of mortar mix got wet, so they may not be good anymore. But it was, and the reason I didn't put the plastic back over it, because it's wet and I didn't want to cover it up like that. So I'm hoping that the sun will pop back out, dry those out, because all those bags are actually sitting on top on this end, and I didn't want to have to move them. So I'm hoping that, like I said, the sun will dry that out. I cover it back up, and this time I'll probably put rocks on it instead of boards. So that's another thing that happened. But I'll tell you, that it was some storm. I was going to try to video it, but I was so worried about watching the trees and things like that, and the dogs. They were so scared, because like I said, that rain was hitting the house so hard it sounded like hail, and you can imagine what that sounds like on a metal roof. And then the wind, I mean, it was just moving in all different directions. The trees were swaying, and like I said earlier, we were under a tornado watch. I don't think that we came anywhere close right here to the tornado, but the winds were strong enough that did bring that tree down, and did suck the plastic off, and did beat the garden up just a little bit. Even the tomato plants were laid over, but they've actually, overnight, they actually stood back up. But yeah, it was a pretty bad storm, and I was going to try to get some video. I'm sorry that I didn't do that, but it was just too much going on, too fast, too much worry about everything up here, and the possibility of, potential destruction actually happening. Well, the chickens are still doing a good job of laying, even though I'm only left with a few after I lost several when I let them out to free range. So they're all pinned back up now because I'm pretty sure the red-tailed hawk was getting them one at a time because it was happening in daylight. And I don't know if a fox would be as bold to come up here with the dogs outside running around. But anyway, like I said, they're still doing a fairly good job. These are the oldest. Down here on this end, I've got these packaged up in a half a dozen so that I can give them, away to my daughter, my sister, and things like that. Because I primarily eat eggs every day, and then I've got almost a dozen up here because I actually cooked 3 this morning. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get some more chickens. I missed the first of the month this month because I didn't realize that, I think it was the 2nd or the 3rd was on a Monday, and I totally forgot about it. So I I don't know what happened, but anyway, I did forget about it, and I'll have to wait another month, but I do want to go and get some chickens before they're too hard to get. So anyway, I will do that. Be sure and do that the 1st of June because it's May now, and I'll probably end up getting another half a dozen or so, which they range anywhere from $10 to $15 to $20 depending on the size of the hen. I don't want any small chicks because I don't want to have to run after them to take care of them, and I don't have a smaller wire around the bottom. They would be able to, because they're so small, right? They would be able to just walk right out. So I want to buy some that are a little bit larger. But I have learned that living up here in the mountains like this, I really can't let them free range because of the predators that we have. So I may end up working on that chicken pen a little bit to extend the size of it so they have a little bit more room to run around. But they're going to have to stay caged, and it's okay because they're happy that way because I feed them really good, different types of things, and the hog, it's happy. So I think as long as we do that, everybody will be safe and everybody will be happy. So well, folks, I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down here. My son, my daughter, and I, we really do appreciate from the bottom of our heart you all stopping by, taking the time out to visit with us up here at the Outpost to learn what's going on behind the scenes up here. We are hoping that everybody's having a great spring, that you're getting all your planting done or your landscaping, or if you're living out in the rural area like I am, getting a lot of your projects underway and things are going great. Hopefully the weather's better where you're at than it is right here currently, but I do know that with all those clouds up there that the sun is shining on the other side, so as soon as they break, it will shine back on us again one day soon. Anyway, we hope that you guys have a great afternoon. You all take care, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.